The countdown to Chicago Bears free agency is here, and I'm way too excited. And I need to calm down. But let's get it cracking. Yo, 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 no maniacs, super no maniacs, and all in between. Welcome to another edition of Feed the Bears, man. And let's jump on right on into this, man, because I got to tell you, I don't sleep well this time of year, especially the closer we get to free agency, the draft. I love football so much. Number one, that's already an addiction that I need to get addressed probably somewhere, sometime in the future. But when it comes to this team in particular, these Chicago Bears, man, I believe that orange and blue so seriously. I this time of year, the options and the opportunities, given what we have, the collateral, all of that lends itself to so many different thoughts and so many different ways of thinking about how Ryan Poles and these coaches might want to attack free agency and before the draft. And it makes me think a whole lot of things. And of course, the two guys you see on the screen, I don't know if you know the one on the far right, but the first one is Chase Young. Of course, I'm going to get into each one of these guys individually. And the other one is Derrick Nnadi from the Kansas City Chiefs, who I believe will hit the free agent market. And of course, Ryan Poles has an intimate knowledge of, Derrick Nnadi. He was there when they got him. And, his run stuff, and I think really stood out in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. There's a huge reason why Saquon Barkley didn't fare so well in that game. It's largely due to that big guy you see on the right, smiling really big. Derrick Nnadi has proven himself as a thoroughbred, as a run stuffer, and he really, really shown me. This is one of the guys in the free agent market you won't hear a whole lot of people talking about. But when you're talking about, because you guys know I already think defense first, So, this entire season and this entire offseason, one of the some of the more foremost things on my mind is what we can do to shore up that defensive front. And so, because I truly believe that a defense will win you a championship if you have the right pieces. Because if you can't stop nobody, you really don't give yourself a real serious chance to do anything in the first place. You need a defense. Like the best thing you can do for a young quarterback is give him a solid defense on the other side of the ball and return the ball to him, giving him more and more opportunities. That offensive line up front and having him have a sound running back or two or three behind him that can really produce. To me, those are the ingredients that win you championships. A stout defense. You got to be stout against the run, because if you can't stop nobody from running you over, man, it's just doom and gloom. And so I watched this whole entire past season just dreading that teams were going to run the ball and run the ball a lot against them, because I thought we were underwhelming, and it came out to be true. We were truly underwhelming on that part of the football game, especially after Andrew Billings went down. So for me, and nobody cares about what I want for the Chicago Bears. Nobody gives a damn. All I'm doing is trying to project what I think works under the circumstances, who I think work under the circumstances. It has really less to do with what I want. It's about who fits. Does it make sense? And that's it. It's not about, hey, I want this, we need to do that. No, that's not it. That's not the way I think. I'm just trying to project what I think the people in that building are thinking and what makes the most sense financially and, physically, traits wise. Who are the guys that you can assemble on this roster that can really help, lift you up and bring you to another level this season? These two guys you see on the screen, definitely Derrick Nnadi, one of the more probably underheralded football players on that Kansas City roster, but probably one of the most important. The guy only makes a couple $1,000,000 a year. He only makes a couple $1,000,000 a year, so you're not going to have to, break the bank to try to bring him here to Chicago. You might give him a couple $2-3 million more, just because this guy is going to help. I look at Dennis Allen's defense, and sometimes, there's so many different ways he moves his fronts around. I see him playing three techs at times. I see him playing two nose guards at times. Depending on what the game is presenting, he could be flexible. This guy Derrick Nnadi will allow Dennis Allen to be a little bit more flexible. You put that guy besides Andrew Billings and you put Javon Dexter as an edge and Montez Sweat as an other edge, that's a big, ferocious, front to try to run the ball against. I can imagine packages like that. And so coaches, I said this before, they love to have options. Derrick Nnadi will be a great insurance piece. Now, there we have pieces on the roster that I do like, but the more and more competition, the more and more you raise the level in each room, the better and better this team can get. So Derrick Nnadi, I think, is absolutely one of those guys they should target. Just to name a couple of people that are out there, you got your Javon Hargraves of the world. He's a 3-tech / nose tackle. Might be a little bit on the expensive side. He got cut from San Francisco. He's out there. Just to think of a couple names while I'm thinking about it. Let me see. Jonathan Hargrave. Of course, you have. I'll get to these last couple of names in just a second. And you got Roy Robertson Harris, who I always felt like it really irritated me when I don't know when he left. I think it was during the Pace era, and that really upset me because if there was ever a guy on that team during that era that I thought had a huge upside and could really didn't have a ceiling, it was Roy Robertson Harris, and they just let him walk. Now, I just didn't understand the mindset and what they were thinking there. I really didn't. I still don't. Here you now sitting the opportunity to put him back on this roster and kind of elevate this roster. And he's versatile. He gives you edge reps. He gives you defensive tackle reps. He's exactly the kind of piece that, that Dennis Allen would prefer. But we'll see what happens here in about 24 hours. But that's it about Derrick Nnadi. Let me get to Chase Young. One of the things I've been doing in the offseason is starting to become some kind of addiction because I imagine, I remember Ron Rivera when they were assembling that team in Washington, and they just kept getting piece after piece after piece on that defense. And when they were done assembling that defensive front, that was one of the more monstrous defensive fronts I've seen in recent years. You're talking about Montez Sweat, Daron Payne, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen. I mean, they were ferocious, absolutely ferocious. One of the best fronts I've ever seen. And here we are sitting in an opportunity to put at least half of that thing back together, adding Chase Young to this roster. You got a chance to actually put together 3/4 of that, that front that I still think these guys are at the top of their game, talking about Chase Young and Jonathan Allen. You have a chance to do both. I don't know anybody that would look at the film when those guys were playing together. It's not like it's been a few years since they all were together, but it's not like either one of them like tailed off or became something that they're the same football players, and they are all reaching their plateaus. Jonathan Allen's, I think, 30 now, or getting ready to be 30. I still think he's got 4, 5, 6 years left in it. Good football left in him. Good football left in him. Not just 4 or 5 years of average play. I think really good football. Chase Young is 25 years old. 25 years old. And those two, and I'm talking about in particular, Chase Young and Montez Sweat, me watching that film and seeing how much they fed off of each other and how they affected the game, how they affected the quarterback. It didn't always land in sacks. If you look at the stats, you might be misled. You might be looking at the wrong thing. The way they affected the quarterback and the quarterback play was enormous. Those two guys were threats, serious threats. And in my opinion, they get better, especially defensive linemen, get better as time goes on. It's not like I don't know how fans really think about this, but I don't think of it as, after the first 3 or 4 years, a defensive lineman tails off, then they just get better and better. They get a little bit more savvy, game experience. They just know the tricks of the trade, and they just get better and better and better. And those guys have nothing but tread on their tires. And so this would be my ideal edge rusher. If we had to sign anybody in the offseason, that would be my ideal edge rusher. I lean into this move because the product knowledge that Dennis Allen just had with Chase Young there with him for a year, and the common sense of, how this would look. We already have, record of what they look like together, talking about Chase Young and Montez Sweat. And so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's just one of the things I learned a long time ago in my life. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I can imagine that, those two talking about Ryan Poles and Dennis Allen sitting together thinking about what they might do in the free agency period at edge. This had to be at the top of the conversation. However, will they actually bring Chase Young in? What they have to pay? Who knows? It might not happen. It might not happen, people. But preferably, it's hard to imagine this team and this guy on the market at 25 years old, and they don't give strong consideration to bringing him here to Chicago. Absolutely, I believe that he would want to come to Chicago simply because Montez is here, and he knows what they can do together. The understanding of what ins and outs of what Dennis Allen likes to do, it's an easy transition and an easy fit. And so I'm not laying it on thick because I really like Chase Young. I just like the fit and what I've seen on film together. It's just dynamic, man. It's just, I think it's everything we need, guys. I'm going to leave it there because we do have a show tonight at 8 p.m. Central, where we're going to be talking about all the stuff I'm talking about right now all over again. And we're going to have a good time doing it, man, because, you know, this is the time, if you get into antsies, this is a good time where you justify it, because I most definitely have them. As a fan, I just love this part of the year because the opportunities and possibilities are endless. With y'all, man, love you guys, man. Make sure you guys, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. You want to continue to see us grow and really keep turning out this content. It's just going to get better and better the more and more support we get. So just keep it coming. If you want to be a super no maniac, it's only going to cost you $4.99, and we're going to give more options and more perks to people who subscribe, that grab memberships. We're definitely I'm going to follow through with that and make sure you guys get more perks. So grab a membership, but if you do nothing else, make sure you hit that subscribe button, man. We're just going to get better and better. The more and more content you guys want to see, help us put it out there, man. Hit the channel, show us that you appreciate the content, and we'll keep cranking it out. So that's all we got for this one. I want to leave you guys with these famous words. If you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. Do not, and I repeat, do not be a prisoner of your own mind. But with that being said, I am out.